I had a burnout. I actually had a real burnout that took me out for 42 days. I couldn't even function. I was so lost. My body was injured also. I was more, I couldn't drive a car. It was like the craziest moment of my life. Couldn't even see. My electric shocks going down my body at all, like all day. I was panicking and I didn't care about anything. And all I wanted to do was get better. And I realized that my burnout was led by the idea that I was chasing all this dopamine. I was chasing all this attention. I was chasing all these things where I started to lose track of my identity a little bit.
Welcome back, guys, to the Behind the Food podcast. Super excited today. We have Jake Karls with us as our guest. I've got my co-host Daniel here with me again.
What's up,
Um,
guys?
what's up? We were just riffing on the government shutdown that's keeping everyone from flying all over the place. So hopefully that doesn't continue. And hopefully Jake can make his flights this week. Because, dude, you travel a lot. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I've
almost
consistently.
weekly, almost weekly.
Yeah, dude, that's kind of like the first question I wanted to open up with. You consistently, like, since I've met you, show up at a lot of random places, like all over. Like, you're the guy that shows up. You're like, pop up in Florida, pop up in California, you're in Canada. Um, why did you start doing that one? But also, like, how do you now, like, choose what to show up to?
So you're 100% right. So, just to give you perspective, like 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago, I did about 120 something flights in 1 year. And I think like two of them were for vacation, or four of them total was vacation, like four flights that like they're back twice. I think what I learned was that like when you show up physically to something, whether it would be a pop-up, whether it's a speaking opportunity, whether it's a media interview or a retail partnership, the serendipity that can come from it is something that you'll never know unless you're there. When you start to value serendipity not on a return on investment, but on what like the actual present moment and experience that can come from it, the magic is insane. Like I've had moments of just complete nothingness, like nothing happens and it's nothing comes from the trip and it costs you a shit ton of capital. But then I've had moments where we've been in a pickle where we almost lost our business and I ended up going somewhere, met an investor that became a friend, and because of that moment I met that person, she then put in saved us in that moment when we needed a certain amount of capital. And it's because of that showing up, right? So I think for me, like my role is to build friends for the brand. That's my day-to-day role is build as many friends for the brand, whether it be investors, retail partners, journalists, media, new team members. So I travel everywhere to meet these types of people and then I bring them back to the organization. But it always starts with a friendship first. And I say that like genuinely, because if it doesn't, then you have an agenda every time. And when you have an agenda, people feel it. So start with just human to human interaction and let it go where it goes, and then water the plant as it goes. You can't just let the plant go and grow itself. It needs to be watered. FaceTime in a while. Pick up the phone and call when you're in their city. Say I want to go for coffee, a beer, whatever you want. And I guarantee you over time, and again, consistency we talked about before, over time you'll see those returns come back. Good or great or bad, to be honest with you, but at least you'll have the opportunity.
That's huge. Like meeting those people without the expectation of return is everything because like you said, they can smell it immediately on you when you're there just to immediately exploit whatever interaction you're having. And I know because I hate it. I hate it when I'm in a room with people and immediately I can tell this person is just trying to figure out what they can get out of me. It's not
Exactly.
fun.
Exactly. Think about that before you get on a plane or get on a bus or get on a train to go somewhere to meet someone. Think about how you would feel or how you felt when someone's launching information down your throat, looking just to get something out of you. You get turned off. It makes you feel disconnected. So what I would suggest to you is think about that every time you go into a meeting and say, how can I connect emotional? How can I be part, how can I add value? How can I listen? How can I engage, entertain? Think about those things rather than asking, hey, I need you to sell my product. I need you to invest in me. That is so transactional. And we as humans crave a sense of belonging. It's based on human nature. So don't be the one that does the sales and information overload every time. And there's a time and place for it, by the way, when there is a moment when you're pitching and that is what is expected. They'll go in and give it your all then. But if you're going to build a relationship, focus on what can you guys relate to on each other and then build on that.
Yeah, there's a fine line between being asked to sell. If they tell you to pitch, go for it, right? They're asking for it, and yes, that's your green light. But if they're not, it's probably a bad idea, and you should probably just work on connecting with them as people.
Dude,
100%.
this is so wild that we're talking about this because I have a planned LinkedIn post that's going up in like 2 hours.
Is it literally about this?
It is about this, but it's about the fact that like whenever people reach out to you digitally, a lot of the times they don't act like real people. Like it's hard to explain to someone like, hey, this is what I'm looking for, but like we've all seen it before. Where like you get a cold DM or whatever it is, and it's clearly like a real thought, like a couple sentences, like a text message. I'm like, oh, I'll answer that. That's cool. Or I'll get like ChatGPT gave you like a 12 paragraph thing. Like, dude, you're not real. You're not a real person. And like when you're not being a real person, there's no human connection. So that dude, that's like on the head.
It's like, and look, and sometimes I miss, honestly, you're right. And I'm imperfect in this situation. I'll miss certain messages that come through. And I preach what you're saying all the time, by the way. Be real, reach out, don't be afraid, keep trying till, don't be annoying, but keep trying till you get that engagement. But sometimes I'll miss those messages in my own DMs, and it's not because I don't want to see you, or it's not because I saw you. It's because I haven't gotten there yet, and I want to get there. And there'll be a time, might be in 3 months, might be in a year, but I'm really like, I get bombarded with sales, 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 and it actually creates a negative energy. So then sometimes you say, screw it, I'm not looking through anymore, and you miss some good people that are just there to actually connect. So if you're listening to this, I apologize if I've maybe not seen your message. But I will get there eventually. It's just I have to go through all this noise, this tons of noise, and I call it the automated messaging, or the transactions. It's like look, like, the more human you are, or get human, figure out a way to FaceTime, like, do all these things, like. And I always give an example. I was in a hotel room, and I was feeling low energy that morning. I was stressed, and I was with my wife. She was with me on that trip, and I got a cold call. And this is another thing about cold calls. This was an actual call coming through, and I get a lot of them all the time, and a lot of the time they don't even know my position in the organization. They think I make this. They don't even look any research. But anyways, this guy calls, and he's super nice, but I'm not in the mood for this, and I just tell him I'm not the right person. I cut him off halfway through the call, and I was in a bad mood, and I definitely wasn't the right person, but he was very nice. And it was on speaker because I was in the room, and my wife listened. And then she said to me, "Can I give you constructive feedback after the call?" And I said, "Yeah, what's the problem?" And she said, just let the person finish what they have to say, because they're a human as well. And I just listened, and I took it in. I went to the gym right after that to pump up, because I need to access agitation energy that I had. And I came back, and I actually called back the number that I was on the call. And I asked for that guy that I heard his name. And we had like a 5-minute conversation. I wasn't the right person, but I actually heard his story first. We connected, and we become friends-ish from that moment on. And I realized that we're all humans, right? He actually wasn't even pitching me in a robotic way, but I was just so agitated by all the mouth I get in the past, that I just reacted in a negative way. And now I've learned my lesson. I actually listen till the end of what their pitch is, because I want to connect, because they're still humans, and I was that person. I still am that person that still has to pitch every day, still has to sell. And when you take yourself into their shoes and you become human, it really gives a more deeper bond. So that was a really good lesson that I learned. But again, just talk as a human in the conversation. I think that's the moral of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And just show up in real life.
Yeah, as you.
yeah. Yeah, and also just to like drop that preconditioning we have by getting bombarded all the time, right? Like in that moment, how do we stop and go, okay, for this exact interaction, I'm going to not assume that they're here just to sell me, and
Yeah.
see if I can find something in this moment. That's really, really hard to do, because we're, like you said, like that the inbox is full, the email box is full, the voicemail box is full. We're constantly getting bombarded. It's really tough.
Yeah, dude, and we don't I like nobody answers like half of it. And it just kind of is the way it is. Like Jake said, like it's like I've openly posted and apologized before because I'm like I opened my LinkedIn and I've got like 200 DMs. Like what am I going to do with this? Unfortunately, I'm just going to like miss it. And the craziest thing is like you said, you do miss things that you're like, "Oh, I wish I would have actually talked to that person." It's too bad. Like I got this advice a while ago that was like you should get an assistant like answering your email and your like DMs and like all the stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but then like the flip side of that is like it's kind of cool knowing that like you, Jake, are the guy that like answers
Yes.
when like a lot of other people like at that level, and this kind of like tacks on to my question, like a lot of other people at the level that you've gotten to are like, yeah, I'm gonna outsource like the intro communication. I'm gonna outsource like a little bit of like me. And yet like I kind of think it's cool or like more authentic that like if I do get a response from you, like I know it's you, like texting me back or like you respond to my DM, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Jake. Like it's not Jake's assistant, which is kind of cool. Is that like an active choice for you?
Yeah, that's an active choice. So It's a tough choice because it causes a little bit of stress because I get anxiety about not answering and things like that. But like, look, like, and I'm not perfect. Like everyone that knows this, even my Instagram, like I don't answer everything. I just I want to do better, but I also want to keep what you said, Jimmy. I think it's important is the person you're speaking to is me. So how I answer, I'm going to send a picture. I'm going to fire it up. I'm going to speak. I'm going to send a voice note. it's me. It's actually me caring because at the end of the day, there's nothing more in the world I wanted than talk to the person I'm trying to talk to. Assistants are amazing, by the way. There's great people, but at the end of the day, they're not your voice. AI is not your voice, and I love AI for certain things, but it isn't your true voice to the highest level possible, right? And it's just impossible at the moment. But I think that me taking the time to answer is actually more impactful for that interaction, even if that interaction is just serendipitous of nothingness that happens from it. And you know, I don't know, for me, like if I was in that person's shoes, the person I'm reaching out to, I want to talk to them. I want to have something. And someone recently said to me when I answered, they said, "Oh, this is an AI response." And I was like, "Yo, it's actually not." Like, and I sent a selfie um, because people are so programmed and this they're just so I don't understand. It's like so for me, I actively choose to do it myself. And even if it causes a little bit of extra anxiety and stress, I'd rather that person get the true me if they can. But I will miss great opportunities as well, and great stories and great humans that I am sorry for now.
Yeah. I guess moving on to that topic, like if we were to like give advice, which I've been doing a lot more recently to like people that are getting started, through this podcast and like just through like interacting with like more founders. One thing that like I consistently tell people to do is that in the beginning, the best advocate for your brand and like selling your product is you. And there's this great video that you posted the other day of you dancing in the grocery store with the manager at one of the original stores that you guys sold in. And like whenever I give people that example, I actually like point to that for you. Or like there's this store in Nashville called the Produce Place that like Daniel's familiar with. I'm super good friends with the manager. He actually is no longer there. He works for Greenspoon, but like he's a guy that I'm now like close with. Like I've known him for like a long time. And it's like I feel like those relationships are important in the beginning because like no one's going to advocate for the product like you do, but that kind of stuff doesn't scale. So like at what point did you guys move beyond that, or is that something that you still like, continue to try to do even though it's not scalable, but like it
Yes.
brings like power?
So I think at the beginning of this business, we had no choice but to hand deliver products. You know, August 2018, all of 2018, and even some of 2019, we were hand delivering every store, for two reasons. Number one, we couldn't afford shipping. Number two, I wanted to meet the people on the ground. People on the ground at store level are the most, in my opinion, the unsung heroes of retail, of CPG. And what I say by that is that they can help consumers make decisions. They know exactly what's going on in the stores. They understand the structure, the placements, the merchandising. They understand the most important things about selling your product at retail. So for me, I wanted to meet the people that were executing on this and building this. So one of the guys I met was this guy, Stuart, who is, you know, he's been there for a very long time and everyone loves him. His energy is just positive. When customers go there, they say hi to him. He says hi. He takes them on the shopping experience. He shows them where the products are, but he also like fires them up with a joke, and he makes happiness. Like he actually like delivers happiness. I know, you know, Zappos CEO used to say that, but this guy delivers happiness to people. So when I met him, he's like, "Yo, I love dancing." And I was like, "I love dancing." So we started dancing in grocery aisles every time I delivered as a ritual, just to have fun, do business and have fun. And people started watching these videos where it went from like 10 views to 1,000 views to millions of views over time. And in the end, this has now become a thing where our community at Midday Squares knows us for, but also the community of this retailer. And it's kept our relationship so tight because it's not about the transaction. It's actually based on human nature and just, you know, emotional connection. So I think that like at the end of the day, if you're going to start a business, build those relationships, show up, tell that story loud and proud to anyone that will listen, because it takes one person to believe and one person to continue to share your story forward. It literally works like a domino. I think we lost Jimmy,
Yeah, he'll definitely be back.
but that's kind of the moral of the story is like you're starting your business. No one's coming to save you.
Yep.
Go so you tell your story loud and proud. Meet people that will want to be part of your journey, like this man Stuart, this manager who now buys our product from that store. Build things based on human, not on transaction. And I think that, I still hand deliver product not because I have to, but because I want to, because I want to go hang with him, right? And yeah, so I think that that's if you're going to build a business today, you're not sitting at a computer to do it. Get out there and meet the people that are on the ground and do things that are based on human nature and emotional connection rather than transaction.
Dude, I absolutely love that. It's so good. So, I mean, we haven't really touched on like your guys' story, but like one of the things I find interesting about Midday Squares and about like what you guys have built is it seems that like you and your co-founders, which happen to be your sister and your brother-in-law, like you guys seem to be like the right team for the job, if that makes any sense. Like I've watched y'all like grow from like 2020 to today. Not the whole time, but like part of it. And the whole time I've like watched you guys, it just feels like the team was clicking. Like you each kind of like know like what you're good at and like bring that to the table and like make it happen. When you guys got the company off the ground, like was that obvious to y'all? Or did it take like some time to like figure out? And like would you
So I think
recommend again like having co-founders?
So again, I'm no expert, but what I could tell you is this is we started this business together not because we're family, sister and brother-in-law, but because we complement each other's skill sets. So we knew what we were good at and what we were bad at, and what one was good at, the other one was not great at, and the vice versa. So we knew that when we combined forces, it wasn't 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. It was 1 + 1 + 1 equals over 3. And it was a strong tripod. Now, when we went into the business, we knew that we had to trust each other in the lanes that we were in. So how we did that was we basically went to therapy. We still go to therapy once every 7 to 10 days with a coach. It's a therapist, but it works on communication. We work on protecting the partnership, number one, so that we remain family. We love each other as we go on this journey, but also have very hard conversations to remain aligned and work through very difficult conversations. So that's been one of the greatest investments we've made to date, is to show up, in good or bad times, not just bad times, but in good or bad times, to show up, to stay aligned and communicate and protect the partnership. And again, once every 7 to 10 days we show up for a session, and it's the best thing possible. And what it's allowed us to do is it allows us to stay in our lane and not cross over and not build tension, animosity, or misalignment. And I think a big part of the reason why a lot of businesses shut is not actually because of bad products or lack of capital. That is some of the reasons, but it's actually because of founder conflicts. It's because of partnership conflicts. And the big way to protect about it is just open communication, two-way communication, understanding each other, and actually putting the work into the partnership, investing into the partnership. Now, I can't speak about being a solopreneur, but what I could say is I'm super grateful to have my partners along this journey, because when I'm going through hard times, they're in it with me. And when we're going through great times, we're celebrating together, and it's super fun. Now, I know some solo entrepreneurs that love what they do, love being alone. They love the freedom. They own a lot more of the business potentially. But I think that, again, the game of entrepreneurship, for anyone starting or anyone in it, knows that it's actually a very lonely road. It's a lot of moments of sadness, of depressive states, of moments of glory where you're on top of the world. So you have these crazy swings, and not everyone understands you, and sometimes you're very misunderstood. So again, having a partner or whatever, if that's a business partner or like someone that, like my wife has been a huge supporter, not involved in the business, has got me through a lot of these moments. You need a support system. So I don't know what that looks like for anyone. It could be a solopreneur with a complete support system of people or co-founders. You need the support system because it's going to be imperfect, this journey. It's going to zigzag, and those zigzags can feel like deep, deep pain at times.
That's huge, man. I can't. The depressive states people don't talk about enough. It's a real thing. It's extreme highs, extreme lows. I've been through all of those myself. But I had a question about partnerships, because you really kind of have an interesting dynamic with three people. There's kind of this consistent dynamic I see in a lot of food-based businesses, especially whether CPG, food truck, restaurant, etc., where you have a chef creative, right? That person is the person that is the innovator in the food space, maybe the branding, maybe the social, right? And then you've got an operator, you've got a COO type, right? And a lot of the best businesses that I know personally operate with that kind of dynamic. You've got Jimmy and Megan. You've got me and my brother Kai. You've got someone I know who does a grilled cheese truck, same kind of thing. So with you guys, you have three, right? You kind of described it as a stool, right? A three-legged stool. So how does that breakdown work in your guys' partnership, where you've got a three-legged stool instead of this like two-legged stool that like me and Jimmy and a lot of other founders I know have, where
Bro,
it's like
they
creative and ops?
they have a
So
Jake, which really
yeah, exactly. I think Jimmy just nailed it. So You're right. My sister is the innovator. She was the chef of this product. She created it. It's her baby. Now, my brother-in-law is a data guy. He's a software engineer by trade. He's an ops. He loves ops. He loves data. He loves running manufacturing. He actually really likes that. Now, the missing part to that puzzle at the beginning was they're like, okay, we have the ops, we have the creative and the innovation. We now need someone that's going to work basically independently to make as much noise in relationships for us because we don't want to put ourselves out there. And like I said, I started as a CMO of the company, which I didn't enjoy. I stepped down from that, and then I moved into this rainmaker role, which is basically like I said, I literally travel, I meet people, I make as much noise as possible to make sure that the teams now that we have in sales, finance, marketing, HR, manufacturing have every resource or every relationship that they would ever need at the tip of their finger if they want it. And I basically go on special missions to go find people that can add value to them so they don't have to go do that. So I think that like because we have immense trust for each other in each category, I don't worry about innovation. I don't think about it. I don't worry about manufacturing, even if it's one of the hardest things because my brother-in-law's focused 100% on that. My sister's focused 100% on innovation, and they don't worry about any relationship that they need because they're like, Jake's out there going to get it. And again, like some people will tell my partners like, oh, well, Jake's giving all these talks. He's hyping. He's on TV, all the media. He's having so much fun, and you guys are dealing with the pain of ops and industrial manufacturing. Do you ever feel? And they're like, no, we need this to keep this machine moving. So it's like again, very big alignment. And if you don't have that alignment, Daniel, you're going to, I believe the company eventually will collapse because it doesn't matter how good your product is or how much capital you have. If the tension builds enough or the misalignment, things start happening with ego, things get in the way, and boom, kaboom, it's done.
That's huge. So what you're saying is that these duopolies that we've got, we're missing a Jake. We got to find our Jake.
Yeah,
Well,
I
it's
hope so.
Yeah, makes
like
a lot of
dude,
sense.
just to like I guess like add on to that. It is interesting that you pointed that out, Daniel, but I feel like a lot of the times, like myself personally, I get pulled between like sort of what Jake does and like sort
Totally.
of like probably what his brother-in-law is doing. And I
Hmm.
don't like doing what his brother-in-law is doing. That was like my least favorite thing. Like running our plant was like the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. But it did it anyways. And I think a lot of people, it's kind of cool that you guys have three co-founders because a lot of people have to like search and hire for that role or like
Yep.
whatever that is. Like you always need to have like each role like really fit the human. And I think if you just like lack the humans, then like you have to go find them, or you just end up doing jobs that we wouldn't like to do, and eventually it burns you out. Which
Yep.
I was
Burnout's
thinking when
real.
you were talking,
That definitely
because
leads to burnout.
yeah, well, Jake just pointed out like people asked like your brother-in-law or your sister like, hey, like Jake's not doing all this like fun stuff, and like you guys are doing like the like hard stuff, but like what you do is also I see that lead to burnout in so many people, like the way that you put yourself out there consistently. Like I personally have felt it from like whether it be social media or just going to events all the time, or like if you're raising money, you're gonna talk to like hundreds of people, and it's like exhausting. And most of the time it's no, and most of the time it's like I just want to get out of bed today. I think what you do is like really, really hard. How do you avoid like the burnout factor? Like, cause you bring the energy, dude, like consistently, which is like not only impressive but crazy.
Yeah, dude. So you guys are right. My whole job is energy giving. And it's on the road. It's living in hotels. It's in Ubers, cabs, processed food. It's out of routine, not being away from my wife, my family, a lot. So it seems fun because you see the stages, you see the moments of absolute glory and fun and craziness, but there's a huge sacrifice that's happening and it's eating you a little bit. So what I did was, 3 years ago, I had a burnout. I actually had a real burnout that took me out for 42 days. I couldn't even function. I was so lost. My body was injured also. I was more, I couldn't drive a car. It was like the craziest moment of my life. Couldn't even see. I had electric shocks going down my body at all, like all day. I was panicking and I didn't care about anything. And all I wanted to do was get better. And I realized that my burnout was led by the idea that I was chasing all this dopamine. I was chasing all this attention. I was chasing all these things where I started to lose track of my identity a little bit. And I would start to do things not for the sake of the greatness of my superpowers and why I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing, but for other reasons. And that ended up creating a creative burnout and a physical and a mental burnout all at once. And it was the scariest thing in my life. And I was lucky it only affected me for, the recovery till the end was it ended up being a year, but I'm lucky it was only that long because burnout could last 10, 20, 30, 40 years. It's a chemical reaction in your body and your brain, right? So what I would say is people that are these energizer bunnies or these hype people or these brand community builders, they if they don't recover from like rest and recharge and refueling gas tank, filling their tank, it's guaranteed burn. It's actually guaranteed. So what I've learned going forward is, number one, I don't need to say yes to everything. I think that was your question earlier, Jimmy, in the conversation. Is I've actually now selected what I prioritize me before I prioritize the business, and that might sound weird, but it actually returns more for the business, which is cool, because I'm giving it 150% like an NFL player does on Sundays. But then from Sunday to Sunday, I'm actually just physio, recharge, rest, sleep, nutrition, coaching, similar to that athlete, but I'm doing that in the business world, right? And that's helped a lot. And now I listen to my body as if it's a car, in the sense where if it has like an oil light on, I check my oil. If it has the brakes are done, I change the brakes. If the gas is run out, I go to the gas station. Same thing with the cumin. So when I'm too tired, I ask what's going on. If I'm feeling lethargic or I'm feeling really depressive states, I just ask and I take a step back and I actually recharge. And that's allowed me to give energy to the things that I need to give energy to and to the things that I prioritize. And I've become a lot stronger and a lot more valuable to the organization simply by thinking like that and actually taking the time.
Huge. I think Josh Ellis has been on a similar journey, Jimmy, now that I think about it. He's been kind of in a similar
I
frame of
mean,
mind of like pouring into himself so that he can actually be there present for the business.
yeah, and I have too. Like I like straight up had a midlife crisis and moved to Montana. So
Yeah.
anyone can everyone can have their moment. I thought a lot about that, like a moment that you had too, Jake. I think that happened to you like right around Expo West, right? It was like
Yep.
Expo West like 2, 3 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, and like it must have felt like really annoying also for like someone like you, but like at the same time, you make a good point that like we have to listen to our body. Like not everyone can give all the time. And I think that goes for like all founders. Like not only all founders, but like maybe people that are earlier on in their journey that are like, hey, like what where's the line between like should I like because there was this hustle culture for so long that's like there is no line. Like the line is that like you keep going and you go and you go and you go. And I was one of those people where it was like work every day, all day, work until you explode. And had I not had my daughter back in 2020, I don't think I would have ever become the person that was like, oh, calm down. I probably would have had a similar moment to you. Um, and
It's scary.
yeah, yeah,
It's
definitely
very
scary.
scary. And you're right, it happened at Expo West. Well, the collapse happened at Expo West. I was on thin ice. I was avoiding, I had a back injury, and I was trying to push myself on like I was at one point I was on like naproxen and some painkillers just to be able to do my Jake role. I wanted to just keep showing up. Even the pain was vicious. And I had to let go. And I let go at Expo West. I went back to the room. I'll never forget. I could barely walk. My mental state was out of control. My physical state was in brutal shape. And I went to the room and I was icing my knee and my shoulder and my back, a heating pad on the back. And I was crying. I broke down. And I said, my mom was actually working with us there. I think she was there. And I told her I need to go home now. I need to get back to Montreal. I need to figure out my life because I've never felt this out of control in my entire life. And I did deep reflection and I did a ton of therapy. I did hypnosis. It's not medical advice, by the way. I did hypnosis and that worked for me for a lot of things. But yeah, dude, this is a serious thing for entrepreneurs and people that work really hard is um, just listen to your body a little bit and understand where you're at with your with your why and who you are, and don't veer too much. You could veer a little bit, it's all good to test new waters, but don't go too wide because eventually you get completely lost, and that lost could, it's you're fucked, excuse my language, at that point. And again, burnout is a real thing, and I hope people listening to this is take it seriously.
Especially when you're early on, it feels like, the more there's kind of a reward curve, right? When you're early, the more you put in, you get exponential returns, almost like newbie gains in the gym. So you think that's going to continue, but it goes the other way around. Like you get diminishing returns as you continue to over and over exert yourself. And at some point, you hit that point where it's just like you burn out and the business suffers at the same time. Those returns in the business diminish to basically zero, where your incremental input of effort does not equal returns in the business. You get nowhere, and it's very frustrating because that's how you started. It's how you got there, right? You put all that effort in, and it got you somewhere. And all of a sudden, you're like, why isn't this formula working for me anymore? I've experienced that too, where it's like, I did this in the beginning. I started with one truck, then two trucks, and it's like at some point, adding a third and fourth truck didn't necessarily increase sales or get us more brand awareness necessarily. It's like, what's going on here? And it's that same thing where it's like it's more about stepping back and finding out who you are and finding center again and figuring out how do I take care of me, and then all of a sudden like things start happening again. Growth starts kind of showing up again.
And and that's powerful, right, guys? Like when we start a business, when I started 7 years ago, I remember like, and I actually, what's funny is it's not funny, but I actually had a solo therapy session this morning, and we talked about the startup phase that I missed it. I missed the early, like I had so much to do all day. Like it was like 5 a.m. till 5 p.m. making bars, and then I'd hand deliver from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. and just rinse and repeat, right? Nonstop. My schedule was jammed. Now I do a lot more impactful things, and we have an amazing team at Midday Squares. We're about 60 of us, manufacturing and a great ops team. The team's incredible. They're better than my partners and I at almost everything. So we do a lot less of that like day to day craziness. And I always see these founders like grinding and hustling and doing those first years or 2 years, and I'm kind of like not envious, but I'm like, shit, like that was fun, like that was the moments, those were the craziness. And then like I realized like he was telling me, he's like, you're just in a different phase, and it's cool, and you're not doing that, you're doing way bigger things, but you need to accept it. You need to stop holding on to that, and the business wouldn't be able to grow the way it has to if you were still in that phase of your life. So I don't know, I think that there's this thing where hustle is very good, work really hard. I really believe in that, but also just like take a temperature of yourself as you're doing it, because you're right, Dan, the diminishing return is real, and it happens. History will show it consistently from great leaders, great businesses that consistently just push the limit too much, and then the diminishing happens, and then they realize like, oh shit, yeah. So anyone that's starting is like, yeah, hustle as much as you can, but be very careful as you're doing it. Be aware, just be aware.
Absolutely.
Jake, I have this question personally, and then also I think like most people will be thinking this. The one thing that I've seen you do at Midday Squares consistently, really, really well, is connect with investors. How? Like how did you do in 2018? Like let's rewind. It's not now, because now it's pretty obvious. But like back then, 2018, 2019, like at what point did you guys decide like, okay, we probably should raise money? CPG's capital intensive, like, we all know the game. But like, how did you go about doing it? Because you're also in Montreal. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily like New
No,
York. It's not
no.
LA. Like, what was your strategy? Like, what did you say when you woke up one morning and you were like, "This is what I'm gonna do"? Like, how did you go about doing it?
Yeah, and like I love Montreal, but it's not the biggest, capital injection place. Most on, it's not the biggest city to get momentum in that sense. Now, when we started, I realized that if we wanted to get we want to get investors' attention, we needed to build out loud. We needed to tell our story on social media as LinkedIn, for example, because we needed to have people know us before we reach out to them, or that they have to have seen us or have a little bit of our story, and they could start to build their own trust of what they're witnessing. So if you stay consistent and you tell your story authentically, which people know if it's fake or real really quickly, by the way, and they're able to tell, if you have that authenticity and you tell your story out loud, at least you're starting to build trust with a human. You're actually building a rapport with that person. So what I would do is I started to just tell our stories of the good and the bad, everything. I'm talking like successes that were like number driven, and then failures that were like near bankruptcy, big mistakes we made. So we showed everything, which gave this person that was watching on the other end of the camera on the phone or the computer saying, shit, I actually like these people, or I know these people. And like, I'm kind of really invested in their story, even though it's nothing to do with what I'm really doing. They're too small. And what ended up happening is eventually I would reach out to people and they'd be like, oh, I see your content. Let's talk. And I would connect. And then I would do the rainmaking thing. I would show up to them in New York or LA or Florida, wherever they were, and I would go for coffee, even if it was 5 minutes. And I would get them to fall in love and like who I am as a person. And then I would keep that conversation going. And then when the time was right, when my team told me we needed this XYZ amount of dollars, whether it was a million, 10, 20, whatever it was, I said, I know exactly the right people and I'd pick up the phone. I said, "Hey guys, now's the time. Do you want to talk to my finance team?" And they would be like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, let's do this." And then I would now pass that group on. I would no longer be part of the conversation. And now I would stay friends with them on the side, even if we don't work with them or if we work with them. And what that did was, again, it was a long process. It wasn't a short process. And what that did was it built me a huge network of people that now trust and like me and also know our entire story of our brand. I don't have to pitch. It's not a pitch. It's like, I saw that you're an Albertsons, or I saw that, you failed at this retailer, and here's why. Because building out loud is the ability to control your own narrative. And that's the most important thing you have access to, is to control your narrative.
That's such phenomenal advice, especially when it came time to like hand them off and say, hey, this personal relationship that I have with this person is not going to be affected by the business. We're going to make that separate. A lot of times entrepreneurs don't do that. And the two become very much joined at the hip, and it becomes really muddled, and it becomes very difficult to separate
Son of a
what's the personal
bitch.
side and what's the business side. It can get very
My
tricky. So I think
internet
that was really,
keeps.
really good advice you just mentioned. Like, hey, at some point,
I've
hand it
been
off to
logged
people that
out
are
of
actually doing the
Riverside like three
financial piece.
times.
So you're
And
not overly connected to that
I
piece.
fucking hate
And
this
like,
internet.
honestly, my role is to be the energy, right? To be the
Yeah.
vibes of like the company, the positive vibes. So like, when you do get to
Well,
negotiations
I'm
and like
glad
due
Daniel was
diligence,
talking,
like
not
there's
me.
pretty brute
It's always when I'm not
conversations.
talking.
Yep.
So
And like,
I wonder how this is
if
affecting
I
the
became
live
friends with
stream.
you, not because you're invest or trying to invest in us, but
Uh,
because we met and we had a great time,
if at
let's keep
all.
that going, because that was good. That was something that was good. And
Yeah.
again, you can't buy friendships. You have to
No.
build them. Trust is something you have to earn, right? So it just takes time. And I know Jimmy and I was saying before, consistency. Everything in life is consistency. It's the 20-year overnight success story. It's not the 2-year. It's the 20-year. And once you understand that, you just do things for a very long period of time and you continue to do them.
Absolutely. Right now, I think my company is in year 8, and I think we're in like, another 2 years. We're going to hit some really big milestones, hopefully, because it just takes so much time to build that momentum,
So
right?
much.
Yeah, it takes so much time to build that momentum. And people say Nashville is a 10-year town, but I think that's just across the board. I think anyone who's building anything, it's minimum 10 years to get some real traction.
And I think that the sad part about this is you and I know this, that's 10 years to get the traction, and Jimmy does too. But I think where we go wrong is sometimes the media, you see, the company 2 years in sells for $2 billion, and like what that does is it actually distorts that does happen occasionally, but it distorts the reality of these 10, 20, 30-year over success stories that are great stories, by the way, but they take a very long period of time. So sometimes people just come in for the quick in and out, and that it's not going to work. It actually won't, because if you're starting a business, you need to love it. You need to be willing to take the pain, take the dog poo every day that you're going to eat, because eventually that dog poo turns into souffle, but it's not, and you can't look at that outcome. You have to do it because you enjoy that dog poo, to be honest with you. And that's the game that I think a lot of people miss. They
Yeah.
don't understand it.
Yeah. And usually the media attention comes in year 9, year 10, and people see the very end of it and they think, oh, this is an overnight success story. And it's like, no, there was 8 years of building, 10 years of building behind this before it actually took off.
And a bit of luck and a bit of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I
Did
obviously
we
got
lose
kicked
Jimmy?
off.
He was there for a second.
Yeah,
He's
Yeah.
having
he's
internet connection issues. It's all
Can
right.
you hear
but you
me
know
He'll be
what?
right
back.
now?
He'll be back. I think that like my favorite part of this journey was being disappointed that things move slower than I thought.
It did it
And I'll tell you
again.
why, because it taught me that like
I
patience
No,
is
it's
a
my
really
computer.
important skill to have
This
in your
mini
business
fucking
life, but also
laptop.
your personal life.
Absolutely.
And going through this journey of ups and downs, I realized that it might take that 8 years to see that momentum that you need, or that you deserve, or that's supposed to happen. But that's 8 years that you've been literally grinding and just trying to get it to happen, and then it does at one point. It will happen. But that's the consistency of showing up, even if it's hard, even if it's great, even if it's some of the most dreadful moments. You just keep going.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I was thinking about this. You guys started, what, 2017, 2018, roughly?
2018, yeah.
Yeah. There was something really magical in the air around that time. A lot of really cool businesses I know, me, Jimmy, you, a bunch of people started really phenomenal businesses in that time frame. And I don't know what it was about that. So many of my favorite people that are in business started in that era. And it
It
feels like, can
is
you imagine trying to do that now? Like it wouldn't be the same,
very hard. I
you
think
know?
I think that era was super interesting because like social media was getting hot and like, you had all this like excitement for entrepreneurship and, small businesses like underdog stories. Now it's like there's a lot of information. AI is playing a big role. Again, we use AI for a lot of things and it's great, but for like human to human connection, I think people
It
just
gets in the
throw
way.
it gets in the way. So I think I think we started during a great time and we got to go through COVID, we got to go through some stuff, supply chain craziness,
Yeah,
and like it just makes you stronger.
totally.
Like it just you become more resilient and it's not going to be the last thing that happens that's going to be crazy, but like we went through last like 8 years of pretty crazy shit. Um but it's so fun, man. Like
Yeah,
I'm grateful. It's a privilege and I'm grateful to be on this journey even though I sometimes I cry myself to sleep. No
me
joke.
too. Same, same.
But I'm also grateful for all the people I get to meet. Like, we're meeting now, you and I, but like I met Jimmy a while back. It's like these are friendships that I build. You live in a completely different city than I do, so it's just it's the beauty of it. The game of entrepreneurship has led me to these things, right? So I don't know. There's always this like full spectrum to look at when you look at everything.
Absolutely. Like, especially for me, doing this podcast has been so cool because it's put me in new rooms. Like, I'm literally talking to you in Montreal. I'm here in Nashville. I've never met you before, right? And now I've met Imler, I've met Hank Watts. I mean, I met all these people through this podcast that are just phenomenal entrepreneurs. And every time I come off of one of these, we'll be done in maybe 20 minutes or so. I'm so re-energized. I'm so ready to go again. And the great part is we do these on Tuesdays. For me, kind of Tuesday's the beginning of the week for me, and I just get launched into a new week, kind of energized and ready to go. So Jimmy's back. We did it. Let's go.
I don't want to fucking talk about this. It's
It's
so
okay. It's okay.
stupid.
It's hilarious. It's okay. I'm having
I
fun
had
talking
a
to Jake. It's
comment
good.
on something earlier,
Yeah.
but I have no idea what you guys were just talking about. I hope it was good.
Yeah.
It
No, we
was
were.
good. It was good.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it. There was kind of like magic in the year around 2017, 2018. So many cool businesses were founded at that
Oh,
time.
for
You
sure.
guys,
Yeah,
Jake,
dude,
etc.
there's a ton of cool stuff that happened around that time. You guys were talking earlier when I like barely could hear, but I heard one time, about how people like look at like the end of the success story and they're like, and then people focus on the exit too much. Dude, so me and my friend Michael Diego, and my other friend Robert we're starting a venture studio, to help like early stage brands. And we started having people pitch us, which I had never been pitched before by a founder. I had always pitched like other
Yeah.
direction. And I was like shocked by, like, we're talking like 1 out of 2. Like, and I think we've listened to like 10, mentioned the exit. These are people that are like, dude, they're like 2, 3 years in, maybe. I'm like, dude, what are we like? Why are we talking about that right now? Like, that, what are we doing? Like, just tell me about like how cool your product is. Like, you make a good impression. Do like what you said before, Jake. Like, build rapport, friendship. Like I want to believe that the founder can go out there and like do their thing. You know, regardless of what's like in the bank account or like what's happening. And I want to believe that they like love their product and like the product has like product market fit or whatever. But it's so crazy how people focus so much on like the end outcome. It's wild. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
It's too much, honestly, and I was guilty of that, guys. I was guilty in the past of that, and listen, I can't say that they're wrong or right. Whoever's wrong or right, I don't know. But what I could say is this: the moment I stopped looking at the outcome, the business actually started to grow a lot faster and a lot better because I started to just look at it as like this is a privilege to be in this journey. The hardship, the moments of like doubt, this is all part of the game of life. It's a beautiful thing actually, and I start to just flow more. I start to be more flow, more present, more energy to give, more excitement to be part of, and that's not to say I don't ever think of some sort of outcome, but it's not my everyday thought, and it's far from it. And I think that you're right when you're pitching, instead of talking about an outcome, why is your business great? Why do you love it? Like, give us what you see, what we don't see. Like, give us what you're seeing because you're seeing a light. There's obviously a light you see. So yeah, I don't know. I think that again, focusing less on the end, focusing more on the middle, the boring middle in quotations is where the magic
Yeah.
is.
Absolutely. Jimmy has this thing that he says all the time that I love. He says, "Why are you allowed to exist?"
Oh, that's
And I think
cool.
that's huge, right? Like, that sticks with me. He says all the time, like, as a small business, you don't have funds, you don't have resources, you need partners. Why are you allowed to exist? That's what investors need to see, is like, what is that thing that people
Yep.
say, yeah, we keep putting resources into this because this is awesome. And you need to put that front and center. Like, why are you allowed to exist?
Yeah, and I can't
I,
take credit for that. That's like I got that advice from a mentor who's a really great guy, but like yeah, you should think about that. Like why do your customers keep coming back? Like why they love you so much?
it's important.
Um cool. Well, I guess like one question I have now, Jake, is like you guys have momentum and you have for a very long time. What are you guys doing now? Like what is the
So
focus of Midday Squares?
So we had a rough year and a half because of cocoa. Cocoa went through that's one of our
I was going to
biggest.
ask about that. Yep.
Yeah, one of our biggest inputs is cocoa for our product, and we went through like a wreckage of price. Like it went up like triple almost. And think about it, if a big part of your product is that, and you go up 3 times, it could kill your whole margin, right? So we took a beat on the margin, and we were going through tons of headwinds for the last year and a half, 2 years. Basically my team came up with this concept, our R&D team, and my sister and my brother-in-law and all them, they came up with this new product that was non-chocolate. And we're like, hey, well, we got to evolve as an organization. We can't be a functional chocolate bar company. That's not who we are. Well, let's focus on what our name says is midday. We are an afternoon snacking platform, and that's what we want to build, is try to build an afternoon snacking platform in the better for you space that's also indulging. And so we're going gung ho. So for the next like 2 years, 3 years, you're going to see innovation come that is not the midday square line that we've had. This is now going to be more what we learned. We've bought data, we've listened to consumer feedback, and now we're launching afternoon snacks that are indulging, that look like squares. They're all squares, but they're not chocolate anymore. And it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking. It's very scary for us as a business because it's a new chapter. And then also our storytelling. The way that we told our story first was all about like documenting everything, reality show and entrepreneurship, the underdog story. But now we're still an underdog, but we're not that underdog that we were in Montreal condo kitchen hand making bars. So now we got to tell our story in a way that makes people that just see us now for the first time in Miami, they're like, what is this brand? I just see it now. It needs to be relevant to them and also be relevant to our Montreal crew that's been watching us since the beginning. So for us, what we're doing now is figuring out how we tell that story. So the next like 2-3 years is all about innovation, increasing distribution on, getting real store presence and winning the refrigerated category, the refrigerated bar category, and then telling our story in a very unique way where the brand can evolve outside of Jake, Nick, and Leslie, my partners. And it's more about a brand rather than just us. So I think that's kind of like the next couple of years, and it's exciting. It's scary, but it's exciting.
Dude, that's so exciting.
Phenomenal.
The new innovation is what I'm like really like, pumped about.
I'll
I want
tell
to
you
try
about it.
that.
I'll tell you about it after the call, after this thing, because I don't know if my sister wants me to tell people publicly,
Probably not.
but just message me privately. I'll tell you guys.
Yeah, don't.
It's I smash one every day. It is the first time we're touching into indulgence, which is really cool, and nostalgia. And there's nothing on it right now in the market. We took time to manufacture this, like how to do it on our machines and customize that. So it's been really hard, man. But I think 2026 and 2027 is going to be really, really fun years for us. I think it's that like Daniel, we were talking about before, that momentum era. Like
Yeah.
I know we've had momentum, Jimmy, but this is like, I think the real momentum, and not going to feel as much pain as we felt over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, like the momentum it feels like just continues to build. And for a lot of businesses, when you come out of like what really is just adversity, like it's not even like a momentum
Yeah.
killer. It's mostly just like, hey, like this is like the I saw this Alex Hormozy clip, not to be like that guy. But he had this clip from like a podcast he was on where he was like, there's some problems where you just get like kicked in the nuts. Oh yeah, it was from Impulsive. Cause he looked at Logan Paul and he was like, if your like kid went into like, I don't know, like your office and like ripped up like a Pokemon card that you had, like one of the like really expensive ones, like what would you be able to do? And he was like, yeah, like nothing, I guess. Like you can't really, it's like one of those problems in life where like you're just getting kicked in the nuts. And I was
Yep.
like, oh, that is what that is. And I think that adversity on the other side of that, that's what cocoa prices are for you guys. Like
Yep.
you can't control the cocoa market.
No,
You can't go to
0.
Ghana and like
No,
change the weather. Like
no. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
yeah, it's like
You know,
you just got kicked in the nuts. Like that's what it is. But
Yeah, no,
on the
I
other
always thought
side of
about
that,
like, yeah. I always thought about like, what if that happened to cornmeal, right? Because we make empanadas. Like what you experienced with cocoa would be like what would happen with us with cornmeal. And for a minute there, I remember with Jimmy, heat treated flour skyrocketed, right,
Yes.
for a minute there.
Yeah.
And it was like the same exact thing. It's like when that core, part of your product shoots up in price, what do you do? And that's really, really inspired that you guys figured out a way to like pivot and like actually find a way to diversify the product line like beyond cocoa. That's really hard to do. Not a lot of brands
But
can do that.
and Dan, the cool part about it is we kept the core values of why we built this brand alongside the innovation we're creating. We didn't veer from the core values, and I think that that's also important as you build your business going forward. People listening to this, whether it's an innovation or it's customer experience or sales or finance or whatever you're going to go do towards to expand your business, make sure you don't veer that much off your core values. You could still have strong opinions loosely held. That's totally fine. You could move a little bit, but why you started is why you started. Now build on that. Don't don't destroy it. Like, I think that you built it for a reason and it's worked for a particular reason. Now how do you iterate and improve, iterate and improve, iterate and improve? And that doesn't mean you're a bad person for changing certain things. And I think that that's another thing is people are so stuck in principle that they forget to iterate or get better or improve, and then they get stuck and then they're screwed. But again, core values is where everything begins. It's where the thing stems from, but from there, build on.
Dude, that's
Absolutely.
so very true. And yeah, like the adversity thing is so very true. Like you stick to your values and then like I think allow the adversity to like evolve you. Because like you guys wouldn't have innovated if cocoa prices hadn't skyrocketed. Like Megan and
Zero.
I wouldn't have jumped into CPG if COVID hadn't happened. Like I would still
Exactly.
be running a bunch of scoop shops, which like, here or there about that. But like it's weird how like innovation like drives you forward, usually under pressure. Like you're under some kind of like outside pressure you can't control.
Adversity is a privilege. As hard as that
Oof.
moment might be, it might be very painful, and it might be, moments of complete wreckage in your life. But those moments also teach you a shit ton, and it makes you more resilient, more innovative, more. It could be the game-changing factor of your business, whether it closes or open or goes really big. Those are both okay, by the way, because you use that as a tool to make you better after, and it's just a mental game. Everything's mental, and you need to have that in check. That's number one in check. I think the most important.
I love that.
Yeah.
Jake, if there is any piece of advice you could give to like 2019, 2018 Jake, what would it be?
I think it would have been block out a lot of the noise. I live by the idea of being unapologetically you every day of your life because you're your best version. But at the time, 2018, 2019, I took in a lot of noise and comparison, yardsticking, and it takes you off your track. It takes you off your game. So if I'm preaching this idea of be you and live that through that lens, and then I'm taking all this information and noise and comparison, I'm changing my game. That's not my game. So I think that I wish I had the horse blinders on. I focused because that's one of the most important things. Your gut is probably one of the most powerful things you have access to. Trust it. It will be wrong sometimes, but most of the times it sees something that you cannot see, and it's there for a reason. So, like, again, I think that would be my advice to anybody out there starting out or going through the early phases of business.
Dude, that's some powerful advice. And I even like see
Yeah.
that. I mean, honestly, the comparison stuff and like the yardsticking never stops. Like,
No, it
eh,
doesn't stop.
yeah, and you have to get around it. Like this year, 2025 for me personally has been the first year that I've been able to really like block out the noise, stop caring about the like I would call it like clout chasing. Oh, like I want to do certain things in my business in order to show people that like we are moving and like we have momentum or we are like going somewhere. And then I realized like you really need to like stay the course, like you just said. Like put the horse blinders on and like stick to your values and do the thing that like you think will be best for you, like personally. And then like, usually what's best for you personally is like best for the business anyways.
I remember when I was starting with empanadas 2018, the number of times people told me, so you just make empanadas? That's all you do? You don't do tacos? You don't do pupusas? It's like, no, we make phenomenal empanadas
There you
because
go.
we think that matters, right?
It
And
does.
guess what? 2 years later, I had competition because everyone was like, "Oh, there's space here. There's blue water, right?" And I was that like leader in the space. So yeah, like you have to block out that noise, and it's really hard to do. It's because everyone sees either someone who in their mind is doing something wrong, making mistakes, right, and they're trying to offer good advice, and it's well intentioned, right? They're trying to steer you in the right direction. Or the other way, they're just trying to hopefully knock you off course because they see that potentially you're in a direction where they might be able to grow and expand their business. So yeah, like 2 years in, all of a sudden there was three other empanada trucks in Nashville, and it was like, well, yeah, there was something here.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Cool, man. All right. Well, Jake, everyone already probably knows this, but can you tell everyone where to find you?
Yeah,
We'll
guys,
wrap this up.
add me on LinkedIn, Jake Karls, or Instagram, Jake Karls, and follow Midday Squares for the fun stuff, entertainment of all the platforms. But if you ever want to find our products, we're in a lot of stores in the refrigerated section. Go on our website; it will show you all the stores. And I appreciate both of you guys for having me. I thought that conversation was it was really deep, and I enjoyed that. And I think that that's what we need more of in this entrepreneurial world.
Yeah, man, we need more authentic conversation around like, hey, here's like really like how it was, and like I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to try to do sound bites. Like, just having that
No,
conversation.
it doesn't do service to anyone. It's just it creates a distortion of what it actually is,
Yep.
right?
Sometimes it's embrace the suck, and that's okay.
Yeah,
I love it.
cool.
Yeah,
Okay,
Thanks,
team.
guys.
I hope we got to meet. I hope we got to see each other in person. Rock on.
for sure.
Soon. All right.
Oh wait,
Oh,
let's go let it upload. Eh?
we
Yeah,
should
go
let
for
it upload. I got to get back on my other Riverside account.
What
Hold
happened
on a
there,
second.
Jimmy?
This is gonna be really weird. It's gonna be real strange.
Is that an autumn hand I see there?
Oh,
Oh, look,
Yeah.
it's everybody
hey,
all at the
Meg.
same time.
Hey, everyone.
Say
Hi.
hi,
What's up, Megan?
Autumn.
Hi,
Hello,
Autumn.
everyone.
Everyone,
Woo!
this is Autumn. She's 8 months
Autumn's
old.
so cute.
In 6
Yeah.
days. Right?
Autumn, you're
She's our
so
favorite.
cute.
She's our favorite podcast co-host. People love her when they see her.
Yeah, she's on fire. She's epic.
I know.
My clips get more views when I'm holding a baby. So maybe what I should do
Because it's
as
relatable. Because it's
it is.
relatable.
Exactly.
That's the truth though, man. Like that's what we were just talking about, and I do have to wrap this up. We all do, but like so many people are so afraid to be real. They're afraid to like do the messy thing, like be like, oh yeah, that wasn't perfect. And you were a pioneer in that space, Jake. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you for that.
I appreciate all of you guys. Yeah, like guys, it's authenticity and relatability is the most powerful access.
It is so true, man.